Hey there, let's talk about how to leverage influencer marketing in this and influencer marketing strategies for the financial services industry in order to supersize and grow our business. And why I share it in different industries is to give you an opportunity to see how the overarching influencer management or the influencer marketing strategies are the same, but how you apply them to your specific industry just needs to be tweaked and changed a little bit in order to get the best benefits for you and for your company and your business and your brand by using this particular strategy. And we want to understand influencer marketing for our specific industry. Financial industry is literally built on trust. You know, when you're handing your money over to somebody, some investments or other financial services, somebody dealing with your money, it's a really intimate personal process. And you want to make sure that the person you're handing your money over to or letting account for your money for you is somebody that you can trust. And part of the way to reach those people and to reach people that you want to work with as a financial services company, my throat is so weird today. I was out and about all day yesterday, and so I think it overstimulated my allergies. I might just hang on to this today. But we want to make sure that if we're using any marketing strategy, it's seamless and doesn't feel like a marketing strategy or including an influencer strategy to our clients, our customers, or the people that we would love to be our clients and our customers when we're approaching and trying to find and build our audience and find new people to do business with. Influencers are a tremendous way, we've talked about this pretty extensively this year, to expose our business and our brand to people that we otherwise might not be able to reach, or we otherwise might have to spend a whole lot of money advertising to in order to find and reach. And everybody's got a different philosophy on how they want to bring people into their business. I personally have found in my businesses, if I bring them in through advertising, they're less likely to stick for the long term than if I bring them into my organization in another way. Now, that's just my personal experience. It doesn't necessarily apply to everybody else, but how people come into our business tends to be a big factor in how long they stay, how long they stick, how much they buy, whether they become lifelong customers ever or not. And I personally have found that if they have learned about my business previously or been recommended to my business, they're much more likely to already have a level of trust that doesn't exist if you're just doing advertising and people are coming in off of ads, especially cold ads. I need a magnifying glass. Being out and about yesterday, I did my work on a scratchy sheet of paper and my research on that. I didn't have my usual tools with me to do it. And I kind of did it on the fly and on the run, which is kind of fun sometimes, right? We have to live our lives while we do the things that we're doing to move our life ahead in a lot of different areas. Again, the power of authenticity and trust and real relationships and transparency in your relationships are probably more important in the financial segment than they are in some other segments. You know, there's a lot of marketing and things that go on for different types of businesses. But if I'm going to a doctor, if I'm going to a dentist, if I'm going to have surgery, if I have a medical necessity, I'm probably not, and I personally am probably not going to listen to an influencer. I might listen to a friend or acquaintance that has had a similar challenge and their recommendations for people, but I'm probably not going to be looking for an influencer in those areas. However, if you look at advertising, if you look at online, every one of those industries is using influencers or actors sometimes to portray themselves as professionals to influence people to buy their products and services. The supplement industry is rife with that, right? People pretend to be doctors that are just actors that are telling you, you know, how marvelous and how this fixes everything for you. The older I get, the more I notice those things. So the power of authenticity and trust should not be minimized in the financial sector, but it shouldn't be minimized in your industry probably either, because it allows you to have a competitive advantage if people know, like, and trust you, right? And if they know, like, and trust the influencer that is presenting you and your products or services, or their experience of your products and services to them, they're more likely to, when the need arises, seek you out and do business with you than somebody else. A few step process to implement an influencer marketing strategy is, of course, first and foremost, to identify the right influencer for your business, your brand, your purpose, your project, whatever you happen to be doing. Some people will use influencers, and I recommend it on a kind of testing basis. They'll do a promotion or a campaign with an influencer, and they'll see how it pans out using these steps. And then maybe they wait a while, and maybe they see if they want to do another one with the same influencer, or if that didn't work out very well, they want to tweak and test it and do it again, or they might want to find a different influencer that's a better match, right? We don't always do everything right the first time. I mean, it would be nice if we did, but I have found that I don't usually do things right the first time. Maybe you do, and bless you, right? So we want to identify the right influencer. They have to be relevant to our particular brand. They have to be engaged. We want to check out their relevancy, their engagement, their credibility, their reach, etc. We want to know, and I'm going to share some, I did a little research yesterday on financial services and financial sector, and I've been working on it with a couple of clients, influencers. I mean, one guy's got 54 million followers. Now that would be what I call a macro influencer. And you're probably not going to be joining forces with him unless you find out that your products and services are exactly what his customers need, want, and desire. Now, I don't know that 54 million people need, want, and desire the same type of financial service. That's reaches and stretches the bounds of my imagination. So find the right influencer, craft compelling content. And there's all kinds of components to crafting compelling content. Now, the most important thing is compelling to the people you are here to serve, compelling to your ideal clients, because we can attract a whole lot of people, like we can attract 54 million people apparently, but are those the people that we really want to serve for our financial services business? Probably not. So we need to be clear up front on who we want. We need to know our own business, right? Before we go out looking for influencers to help us build our business and our audience and what they want, what their biggest problems and pain points and desires are, in order to make sure that we can present what we offer to them in a way that is important to them and compelling to them. We want to have content that resonates with our ideal audience. You know, it's informative, it's engaging, it is shareable. And I need to get better at that. If I think about it, sometimes when I read this stuff and learn this stuff and I'm working with people, I'm like, oh my God, I need to do this. I will say, as a consultant and working with other businesses, I learn more about myself and areas that I need to improve in, probably than I teach other people about their businesses. I think that's just the nature of coaching and consulting and mentoring with other people is, it's like being a teacher. I think being a teacher, if you're doing it right, you are learning as much as the students that you're teaching. And in a lot of different ways. You might say, oh, I'm a kindergarten teacher. That doesn't apply. Well, it should, because you should be learning about little human beings. All right. That's just my shoulda. So we want to have educational content, a range of topics that are important to the people that we are trying to reach. Financial management, investment strategies, whatever is important to them. We also want to have our influencers use storytelling. Storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to engage the emotions of the people that we're trying to reach and engage with. And so stories of how they have actually benefited by using your financial service are probably the best type of stories and content that they can create for you as an influencer, because it allows you to tap in at an emotional level. And we are indeed emotional beings. We make decisions emotionally. We emotionally react and say yes or no, and then we use our brains and our minds to justify the reason that we made the decision in the first place. It's just the way we work. We're fast to make emotional decisions, some of us faster than others, and then we justify with reason. That's again how human beings work. Even super analytical people still make decisions with emotions and then justify with their analytical minds. We want interactive content. I like Q&A sessions. I like polls. I like quizzes. I do all of the above and have done in just about every industry that you can imagine. But that boosts our engagement. If people have to do a quiz or a poll or answer a survey, guess what? They're engaging, so that increases our engagement. The more engaged people are, the more we provide a sense of community, the more likely they are to know, like, and trust our brand, our influencer, their recommendation, and more likely to take the recommendation of the influencer if they are engaging and interactive and feel like there's a sense of community with our business. We want to leverage social proof. And I talk about this sometimes, but I forget to talk about it other times. It is always more powerful for other people to talk about how awesome you are than you to try to tell people how awesome your business is. I think that's one of the powers of influencer marketing is you're not bragging up how great you are and all the cool things you've done. Somebody else is doing it. And for some reason in human beings, human nature, to believe someone else talking about you, that's why gossip spreads so fast, right? And why false information spreads so fast. People are more likely to believe something they hear from another person about you than what you say about yourself. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's absolutely true. Unless you're in a really close, intimate relationship, and then the person ought to believe you more than things they hear from other people. So we want to leverage social proof. We want to measure our success and our return on investment. I don't think anybody nowadays should be spending money and resources on something if they're not looking at the results that they're getting from that investment and paying attention to what works and what doesn't work, what they can improve on, and tweaking and testing and changing and making it better so that the next time they do it, they get even better results. What we measure matters. And so the new thing now in influencer marketing is brand sentiment. I mean, and I'm not sure that they're using AI and machine learning to try to capture this data, this brand sentiment, how people emotionally feel about the brand that an influencer shares. We also have to remember in financial segment, especially as well as like food and other regulated industries, that there are rules and we have got to be compliant. There are laws and rules of what you can and cannot say, what you cannot claim, income claims. There's lots of industries that are hit very strong with this. Network marketing, MLM, financial services, any type of government regulated industry is going to have rules that you need to be compliant with. And, I always say, do what's right, treat people the way you want to be treated, and make the world a better place. And if you're following those core guidelines, you're going to be okay. But also pay attention to what the rules are, what the taxes are, what the structures are, what you can and cannot do and say, so that you don't get in trouble. And you need to make sure your influencers know what, for your particular segment and industry, they can and cannot say. We want to build long-term relationships, but you don't know if they're going to be long-term relationships till you test and tweak and try out a few influencers. Again, it'd be awesome if we picked an influencer and we were right the first time, but that doesn't always happen because sometimes you find out, it's like why people get divorced and marry another person. Sometimes the first one wasn't the right one for them. So I talked about Humphrey Yang, the 54 million followers. I looked up, and I am not familiar with any of these influencers because this is not my industry. But I think it's interesting that you can just Google and get an entire, pages and pages of people that are influencers. Tori Dunlap is an Instagram. She's got 697,000 followers on Instagram. She's an author and podcast host, and she shares personal finance experiences and work experiences in the financial industry on her podcast. Tiffany Alici, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, is the budget nista, and she's a former educator who actually instructs in making financial education mandatory for middle school kids in New Jersey. So she would be what I consider a micro influencer, but that's just my opinion. Then Jim Maros, I don't know him either, speaker and publisher who advises the White House on banking policy. He's got one of the top 10 banking podcasts, so he might be a person depending on what your products and services are. And then a whole bunch more, and I just wrote their names down because I'm like, the only one I've heard of really is Dave Ramsey, Jeff Rose, Jeremy Schneider, Bola Sohinki, I can't pronounce these names, and Dasha, I can't read her name either, Kennedy. So that was just a few that I wrote down, and I'm like, okay, I'm done writing them down. That's enough. It's just a Google search away. There are now tools. I just saw on my Facebook feed, I think yesterday, since I was doing research on influencer marketing, then I get all the ads, right? On an influencer matching app, or not an app, an influencer matching service where they'll find influencers for you. I have not tried any of those. I would love to know. share in the comments below if you have, and if that's how that experience has been. To me, that's kind of on the leading edge, but I'm sure there's probably 1,000 of them now. As soon as I think that something's new, I look into it and I'm like, okay, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies and businesses that are actually doing that. All right, that's our topic for today. Curious your take on influencer marketing? Share in the comments below. Like I said, I'm obviously working on it with a lot of different industries and businesses now, so it's kind of fun. All right, have a great day. See you tomorrow.